Well, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Can I Have a Word with You? Bruce Pulliver, author, Above the Chatter, Our Words Matter, workshop leader, TEDx speaker. What an honor that was about 4 years ago. And have my wonderful guest, Heather Carter. How you doing, Heather?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be here with our first mutual guest, I guess we'd say.
That's right. And for those of you that joined in the first time, Heather is also an author and a speaker. Heather Carter writes Soul Selfie, an amazing book of reflection, and then Soul Selfie, #unfiltered. No filter, I'm sorry. Her follow-up book to that. Just, the way you pour into folks and, the get comes after the give. And you're such a giver, Heather. It's such a joy to be on this podcast with you today. And always. So today we got an amazing not a new format, but one we haven't done before, right? You and I have been on together. You and I have had guests when one of us were out, and we've even done some solo ones. So today we've got a guest that we're going to talk with together, and I'm going to bring him on in a second. But let me introduce just a little bit of background here. We'll bring him on. Our guest today is Ryan Austin. And Ryan is a brother in Christ with me. We are on a journey and a path together. We've been for 2.5 years or so. We're just trying to work together to be the best dads, the best men, the best fathers, the best husbands that we can possibly be. And we keep each other accountable and just kind of, know we're not perfect, but keep working on it. And he's poured into me a ton. And Ryan actually had me up at his office, work with his company for a program back in April. And we just latched on 3 words that we're going to unpack today. But we're gonna wait. We're gonna bring Ryan in, talk a little bit about this great man, his journey, his being a father, an author, a podcast host, a business leader, and just the power of words for him, the impact, and just kind of get some nuggets from our guest Ryan Austin. So without any further words from me, the word guy, let me bring Ryan Austin in.
Hey,
morning, Ryan.
Good morning. Good morning. I appreciate the intro. It's I'm very humbled, and I really appreciate the honor to be here with you too. I just think about life and everything and how people cross and pass. And you introduced me to Heather, and then I had Heather on my podcast, and then I've had you on my podcast, and we've met now. I think every Tuesday for almost 86 weeks now. So in a men's group that we developed that really just led to just being a better husband, better father, and just a better person in life, and just pushing positivity and trying just to impact one person every single day is my mission. So I appreciate you having me on here for sure.
Well, let's go ahead and get started. Heather, I'm going to jump in with the first question that we've kind of teed up here. And first thing, I guess, is give us a little intro. I know we've talked about our relationship, but tell us a little bit about Ryan Austin, the man, and sort of, your purpose and your why.
Well, Ryan Austin is just a standard, small town boy that has 4 kids and is really faith driven and married his high school sweetheart. It's one of those things that when in life, when you hear about a man, really just marrying his high school sweetheart, it's a really magical moment. It's the journey. So, who Ryan Austin is somebody that, 5 years ago was struggling and then got back on track. And so when he got back on track, he found God. And when he found God, things started to happen in his life. One highlight that I want to tell people is I run a company and with 50 amazing humans. And, it's an honor to really just have that journey with them and just really just enjoy life and enjoy my work and enjoy the people that are around me, because ultimately when you do work in a company, you see the guys more than you do your family because you're working constantly. So who do you want to be around? Who do you want to have impacted? And who do you want to be, making sure that you're that person that, is the steady hand. I like to call as the steady hand when somebody needs something. So that's really who Ryan is. Ryan's a person that pours out love as a servant leader and just really just thinks of others before himself. And I think that's when you speak to anybody about that, they would say that's spot on, because I live life through faith, through God, and God is my true provider, And I really just think that as long as he has my back and he's with me and he's pointing me in the right direction, you know, I'm going to live a really, really glorious and great life. So I think that's in a nutshell, Ryan Austin. So.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. So, and you had me up to your company, and, you know, you're also a dad, and you've got, you know, raising children. So it's not just in your business, Ryan. You know, talk a little bit about kind of that and the way that all of that comes into raising your family and your kids and your relationship.
You know, I mean, when you're a leader, you got to lead from the front. You know, you can't lead from the back. And so, you know, I'm constantly educating myself, constantly reading, constantly sharing, you know, advice with people. But I'm also trying to build people up, you know, and I take that example to my life, my kids, and, you know, because your kids emulate what you do. You know, so your kids are always watching. And I think that that's something that people need to hear that are listening is just like, what are you doing, you know, when your kids aren't watching? What are you doing when your kids are watching? Because to be honest with you, they see everything. They see your moods. They see the way you do things. They see the way you act. They see the way you do things behind closed doors. So when you're out in public and you're speaking to people, you know, is that a reflection on you? Is your kids looking at you like, I want to look up to that person? So I really stand at a high standard with my kids. And I really just want to really make sure that they live the best life that they possibly can. And I want to really just push them to be servant leaders, you know, think of others before themselves, make sure that they lift people up. They're people's, I call it people's cheerleader. You know, when you have a cheerleader on your side, no matter what happens in life, you'll be successful. So I think that's kind of my why too, because, you know, I do things like that on a day-to-day basis because of my kids. That's my why. My kids is my why. And then, so when you do those things, your kids really develop and your kids really, you know, see you the way you act. And then now they start to emulate. So then when I get calls from their teachers, it's like, man, you got really great kids. And that's almost one of the highest honors as a parent can have, is like parents or teachers telling you that your kids are great. And I think that's the best compliment that I can get, or most parents can get. So
great point. Well, Heather, I know that there's a bunch of questions in there based on what Ryan just dropped on us. So why don't you take it from here for a question or two?
Yeah, well, I was just thinking maybe, you know, he has run the play. So, you know, a phrase more than just one word. So maybe we can kind of just go through, run the play, and then kind of weave in and out, you know, more of his insights and your insights, and, you know,
well, I think run the play for me was something that, like, we had to initiate a slogan for the year, you know, with our company. And, you know, each year we get better and better. And I'm telling you right now, we have a good culture and we're moving towards a really, really great culture. But here's the thing is we're not perfect. So we had to develop a slogan to really just catapult that and really just make everybody a part of something. So what we did is we actually got something, run the play, and we actually made these little bracelets that say run the play, and it says BSI Paving. And, you know, as you can see, I have a ton of bracelets on my hand, and each one is really just pivotal to me. But run the play is really like, I've got every single person a ton of bracelets, and then we're handing them out, run the play. Well, run the play is really just a journey. It's a journey of learning. You know, it's putting your first foot forward and really just developing individuals, making sure you're a servant leader, and really just having personal development and personal, you know, I always say personal, you know, strength within people, because when you have personal strength, you can actually lift up people just by having that positive environment. So for me, the factors is just really just educating, giving a playbook. So when you have run the play in a sports atmosphere, it's like, we're going to give you a playbook and we're going to say, this is the play. And when we call out a play, this is what it is. But when you take it to a company, it's a whole nother level. The run the play is the way you show up in and out of work, when the way you show up when people aren't watching. You know, we run the play by our core values. Our core values are family, culture, and integrity. So if you're not running the play in one of those aspects, then you're really just taking away from the core values of our company. And that's something that we have to get you back on track on, because that's how we run our company. We hire and fire by our core values now. And I think that that's what's catapulted not only the people in our company, but man, the faith in God. God is in our company right now, and he's making moves within people that I don't even have to say anything. If you live life through faith, what happens is you start to see people around you just really just cultivate and come around you and say, man, I want to be here because I can see it. And you get questions too. You get people that say, what is this faith thing about? Like people that have never experienced it. And that's the most powerful thing I can do is like give these people the word. And if they ask a question, I can really just say, you know what? God is love. So just start loving everyone around you. And that's the first step. So if you can love individuals regardless, then you can actually catapult your company. And I think that that's what really run the play is, and impacting every single one of our employees, our senior management from the top down. Because when you have a company, most companies, you have a top, you have a middle, and you have a down. We're all one. We're a team. But when you start dividing different segments, people point fingers, and that's not the culture that we're bringing. We're bringing a run the play, which we want to run the play to win a Super Bowl in our company. Because when everybody, when one person wins, we all win, so that's the thing is it's not just about it's about team. And to be honest with you, and I'll go back a little bit real quick, is like when I met Bruce, I was almost one of those people that said I a lot. And so since the last, 2.5 years, I've eliminated 100% of that out of my vocabulary. So now it's a team, it's we, it's like, it's keeping that aspect up of like, we are doing this together. So, we don't do life with, individually, we do life together. So that's really just what run the play is. And I think that every single person in my company would say that running the play is just doing things through integrity, family, and culture, and really just doing things when people aren't watching. So
when I was looking through the acrostic, I was mentioning that I saw, I won't go through every single one, but there's kind of an overarching theme that you're talking about. The first one, realize that we're one team. We all have unique gifts. We act as one. We have each other's backs. We're putting self aside. We go forward as one. And we ask hard questions. We ask the difficult questions. We lean in and have authenticity and vulnerability in our team, in your team. And I think that for everyone in life is, not just your company or our jobs or our churches, that I don't know, that I love that bent towards, making this all one focus.
Well, you got to understand is like, if you do life alone, it's going to be very lonely. And so like when you go out, like today, for instance, I get the honor to go out with my sales team and we get to deliver box lunches to everybody. So we are delivering to our people out in the field and thanking them for how much they're doing for us. Not only do we get the salespeople to go out and deliver the stuff, they can communicate with the people that are doing the work for them. So it's not divided. It's not sales against, operations and sales against the field guys. It's all one. So when you come out, you're thanking them. And to be honest with you, if people were to engage and really just pour love into their people, you would have a company that really just catapults to the next level. And it's not just doing things just to do things. It's actually doing it through, genuinely doing it. It's like, for instance, and I'm sure you're going to ask this question later, but it's like, what my favorite Bible verses is basically Philippians 4:13, do everything through God that strengthens me. It's like, do it and you are going to strengthen me. We are strengthening a team right now to make sure that we have what it takes to be the best, and I think that, people feel that, I get calls and texts from my guys all the time. Like I literally had an employee start about 4 weeks ago, and he was working with his father-in-law, and it was tough. It was a really tough environment. It was one of those things that he was on call all the time. So he never had family time. And so he came over here and, he's thanked me almost 4 times since he's been here in a month. And he said, this is the best job he's ever had. And he said that he can feel the love from every single one of his employees. And he said, he keeps thanking me. He keeps thanking me. So when you take somebody out of a bad environment and you bring them into a positive environment, it changes lives. I mean, literally, I got a text this morning from one of my sales guys that said, you know, I was in a negative environment for 10 years and I didn't know how to get out of it. When I left that environment, my whole life changed. My kids started seeing things. I could tell you stories for days of what my employees' kids tell their parents about the difference from their last job to now. That's the culture change, and that's the way we are moving. You know, it's like, for instance, this is a great story, and it's a very cool story. It's like, one of my guys came up to me and he said, hey, you know, my son was at safety camp last week, and he came up to me and talked to me, and there's a series of books that they're bucket fillers and bucket drippers. Okay. And so he explained, he goes, hey buddy, what's that? And he sat there and this kid is 5 years old. And he goes, hey dad, you know, it's, you know, the difference between bucket drippers and bucket fillers. Bucket fillers are people that are positive and fill people's bucket and they constantly being happy and they're doing things. But he's like, bucket drippers are kind of like your old boss. They poke holes in everything and they do things and they make you feel bad and they put you down and they do things. So this gets me teary-eyed because it's like, there's people out in the world that don't appreciate their employees. And to be honest with you, that is sad. Like, I do everything for my employees. So that's when I wanted to share that story, because it's so impactful, is because I get these stories all the time. Guess what? This is why my bucket gets filled. Like, doing these things fills my bucket so I have strength to go out in the world and do what I need to do, which is impact one person every single day. So that's pretty much what I have to say about that. But it's like, it's one of those things, dude, just pour love into your people and watch what happens.
I hope everybody's listening out here. I'm just thinking and hearing everything you say, and you know why I'm now so excited that Ryan said yes to coming onto our podcast. Just think about this from a perspective of, there may be someone who brings some strength out of their family into a job, and then that just gets squelched for whatever reasons, right? There's not that consistency. And so for any business leader out there that's listening to what Ryan is doing, if I can encourage you to put some level of caring, personal touch. If you can get to faith, gosh, I would encourage you to do that in your company, because the ripple effect that turns that back to families that may be coming to your job without that helps them build it within the four walls of their house. And that is what the ripple is to me. And so running the play to me is a consistency aspect, and it doesn't happen when the doors are locked at your company and folks go home. The play continues, is what I'm seeing, the ripple effect that you're having, Ryan, in your community. And that's one of the things that draws me so closely to what you're doing and your passion.
Yeah, I think too, is like when I do get texts and I text my guys after hours, is like, not many bosses, you know, when they leave work, they're done. They just shut down and they don't work. Owning a company is a lot of work, but you know what? When you love what you do, it's not work. So, you know, so when I go to work, you know, yeah, I have tough days. You know, I have a routine in the morning that I do. I wake up, I do my normal praying. I do my, you know, I'm starting to get a little into meditating when I read the Bible. So when I do that, then I go out and run. So you said consistency. It's like, I'm training right now for a marathon. And the marathon really is something that I told myself that I would never do. I can't do. And ever since I met you, Bruce, it's like, you know, that word sticks, you know, it's no longer in my vocabulary. So I was like, if that word's no longer in my vocabulary, I got to own up and do what I said I couldn't do. And so, like, me running a whole marathon, I'm on week 9 training. Listen, anybody that knows me knows I do not run. And to be honest with you, I was 350 pounds a little over 5 years ago, and I've lost this weight. And so running to me is like the most dreadful thing in the world. But guess what? Now I'm a runner and I'm actually enjoying it. I'm actually getting in this trance. I listen to worship music when I go out there. I'm literally being consistent on a daily basis to go out there, and I get in this trance with worship music and I just run. And to be honest, it's one of those things that I just shuts everything down, and I can thank and be present with the Lord and really just run through. And because a lot of people don't run because all they do in their mind is think, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. Well, take the can't out. You always say it. Just stop saying can't, and when you do that, it develops a whole different mentality in your life. You can do things. You can. You know why? You can do things because God says you can do anything that you put your mind to, anything that you want to do. And so that's what I say is like, make sure that you do things and you say things, and make sure you're the person that what you do, what you say. Like for me, I don't care if I have to crawl across the finish line, literally crawl. I am going to finish this thing, and I'm going to have my support, and I'm going to have my people there cheering me on, and my family, because this right here is something that if you say you can't do something and you do it, it transforms the whole mindset of what you're doing. It literally shows people that you're not messing around and you're going to do what it takes. And so I think that that's the biggest thing. And when Bruce, you came into my company, for the fee that you came into my company, it was so amazing to be able to watch the ROI of what you did in my company, to be able to pour into the people and to be able to set the goals and set the standards and make sure that they're doing what they say. You changed 3 or 4 people in my company that today right now is literally going like this, leadership role, because you have to have people that come into your company and really just set that mindset and set that standard. It can't be you all the time. And so what people always say is, oh, that's too much. I can't afford it. You can't not afford it. Because if you don't do it, how do you know what's going to happen? It's like in a business. You spend all this money every single day on investments. Like every job is an investment. It's not, hey, I'm going to do this job and I'm going to make money, because there's some jobs you don't make money. Well, guess what? An ROI in education and promoting and doing things in your company is the most powerful thing you can do, because the ROI is almost tenfold, because you're literally transforming the strength and love of your company and the hope, because that journey that they're on, now they see it. And you're investing in their future, and people see that. And guess what happens? When you're investing in their future, they know that they have a spot to be, and they know that they're going to win, because you are investing money and time and energy into their future, not just your future, and their future.
Hey, wow. Ryan, I was thinking maybe before we kind of wrap it up here in a minute, I know you've shared this on your podcast before, and we talked about it when I was on there, but all these things are awesome and amazing and exciting. But what would you say to the people who are listening who are like, well, dang, I'm not running no marathon. I hit my snooze 7 times today, or whatever it is. I know you got to this place, and this is my soul selfie thing coming out. Like, I want to get to what did your life look like before you found this hope and God? Like, I think it would help people to hear your hot mess period for a minute, like just a little bit.
There's a quote that says one day and day one. And people that say one day I'm going to do this, one day I'm going to do that, are people that never start. I choose in 5 years ago to now stay day one. Today is day one, and I'm going to move on. Because before, I used to say, one day I'm going to be this. One day I'm going to have the car. One day I'm going to have the business. One day I'm going to have the people. One day I'm going to have the money. One day I'm going to have the house. One day I'm going to have the white picket fence. All these things I used to say, but I never put it in action. And so what I'm saying with this statement is like, what's stopping you from starting today? Day one. Because if you can do day one, you can do day 2, you can do day 3, you can do day 4. And by the time you get to day 90, you now have a consistent pattern, and you're doing these things on a regular basis. Bruce does it perfect. He does his words every single day. Consistency is king. And if you don't start, you're never going to finish. And that's what this race is all about, is like, I'm going to start doing this and I'm going to finish it. And that's what day one is. You have to put that in your vocabulary. If you can't put day 1 and day 2 and day 3 in, you're always going to say, one day I can be this, one day I can be that. And to be honest with you, that's one of those things that the devil gets in there and says, yep, you're not good enough. You're not good enough to start today. You're not good enough. And what God's saying is I give you the strength. I give you the strength to do that one day. I give you the strength to do 2 days. I give you the strength to do 3 days. Now, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I have whoopsies. In fact, I had a whoopsie last night, and to be honest with you, it's one of those things that you look back and you say, you know what? Before I would have had 20 whoopsies, 30 whoopsies. It's okay. It's okay to fail, or it's okay to do something bad. But guess what? You get up and you do that day 1 again, and day 2 and day 3. And that's what your focus is. And if you can do that, you will be the most successful person in the world. And watch the people around you. It's the circle that you provide yourself around is who you become. It's the 5 people that you hang out with the most is who you become. So when I hang around with people that are pushing me to the limits, like Bruce and Bill and Matt and Johnson and Brian Hess and even you, Heather, because it's one of those things that, like, if I have people in my corner like that, I can make a phone call and say, hey, I'm having a rough day, or I'm having this, or I made a whoopsie, and they can provide the love and the hope and the faith and everything just to get me through that. So if I have anything that you could take out of this message, is just start today, that one day. And that's it's such an easy quote, but it's so hard to do for most. So just start today. And if you can start today, in 20, 30, 40 days, message me and tell me that you have made that choice to start. And once you do, guess what happens? Things start to fall in place. And when things start to fall in place, people start to come around you. They start to ask you, what are you doing, Ryan? What is going on? Like, I have people on a weekly basis reaching out to me to get me on their podcast because of what I'm doing around me and the people that are being lifted up. And because what you're doing is if you want to ever be successful in life, you have to build others up around you, not yourself. You have to build a team and an atmosphere so they can fill the cups of everybody, because one person can't build an army. Multiple people can build an army. And I think that's the biggest thing is we're building an army for God, and really just pushing through and making sure that we live a love-filled life, and we give people the hope when they come in our company to have a different life and a better life and a life of love and a life of God. Because I don't tell people that they have to love God, but guess what? God is love. So if you love on others, that's the focus of the company.
Got it. Wow. That's powerful. Day 1 versus one day. Another way that I've heard it spoken, actually wrote this, is if only, or only if. Like, if only I had more time, if only I had less clutter, if only I had fill in the blank. But the flip of that is only if I get involved, take an action, make that decision. And yeah, you don't have to always know how, right, Ryan? You don't have to know how to get started. It's the commitment to get started. And you're such an inspiration on that. What if we wrap this up? We'll go through the acrostic real quickly so that we can actually kind of, wrap up what we're talking about here with what Ryan meant and means and lives by to run the play. You good with that? So Ryan, we did this together. If you remember, we did the R is realize your company or any organization you're with is one team. You got to focus on the one team, right?
Yep.
Okay. The U is unique gifts of all. When you were so kind to bring me into your company and the 50 people that were in that room, I looked around that room and everyone was unique. Yes, there were groups of folks that were closer than others, etc., but there were gifts there, from your ops guy to your proposal guy, to your sales guys, to the folks who are on the back of the trucks, driving the front of the trucks. Everybody was unique. And I think that's really important when you run the plays to recognize that. The N is now you're able to act as one. Once you understand that there in fact is a uniqueness, and you're not comparing yourself, or you're not being sarcastic about someone's appearance or their skill set or how they talk or their background, now we act as one. So on the solution's the target. I think one of the things that you helped me try to help the team focus on was it's not about our individualism. It's about how are we solving problems for others, right? We're giving in service, and then we get the rewards of positivity in our work, Obviously, financial reward, just going home to our kids, them seeing that look on our face, right? The H is having each other's back. There's nothing like being in a circle facing each other, then being comfortable turning 180 degrees so your back's to the circle. That means you're serving outward and everything in the circle's covered. You've got each other's back. The E is engaged, is empowered. So I think that we came out of that a couple weeks after, you had some folks kind of leave the company. You kind of weeded some folks out, but those that remain and those you're bringing in are completely engaged because they understand about running the play. And then the last three is the play, putting self aside. You led this whole top conversation about it's not about you, eliminating the I out of the conversation. The L is let's go as one. I mean, there's nothing like, and I know you probably are doing a lot of your training by yourself, but I think you also told me that maybe one of your kids is riding a bike with you while you're running or something like that. But going as one, whether it's by yourself or as a group, helps absolutely run the play. The A is ask that difficult question. Get uncomfortable, because there's nothing worse than an unspoken conflict, right? Especially when you're running the play, right? I ran the route correctly. You threw the pass wrong. Well, let's have a conversation about the route and where the pass needs to be. Have the hook. And then together, yes, we can. You eliminated the I from all of that. So we're going to put this in the of course, in the show notes, the run the play. And man, Heather, final comments, and then we'll turn it over to Ryan to wrap this up for us.
No, it's great. I love to hear what God's doing in companies. I was looking that word up this morning because that's kind of you run a company, but it's also a company is about friendship and community, and you're really trying to do all of that, in your company. So I appreciate hearing that. I'm sure a lot of people listening will appreciate that as well. Maybe make some slight edge changes in how they lead.
Ryan, bring us in for a landing here.
So thanks for being here.
I think the biggest thing is like, we are looking for people that, just really are servant leaders, and I think that, if you're in a spot or if you're in one of these funks in life, it's one of those things that if you don't take that first step to make a change, you're not going to change. And I think that that's the biggest thing in life is like, if you want a difference, if you want to make an impact, if you want a difference, you have to do something about it. You can't just sit back and say stuff. You have to put it in action. You have to put it in a play. And that's why we run the play. It's like, you have to run the play. Otherwise, people are going to pass you. You're not going to win. And to be honest with you, every single one of my employees is running the play right now. And, you said it best, is like, there's people that, left the company. When people are doing all the right things and you're doing constantly, you're positive, people sometimes don't like change. They like that little negativeness in them, and they really want to make sure that, they keep that along because that they've been hurt in their life or something like that happens, so we provide that. We provide the education, the comfort to try to get those people to do that one day. But here's the thing is sometimes they have to leave and figure it out on their own. But to be honest with you, our people are a family and we love them. And so when somebody leaves, it's sad. It hurts me because, I have so much passion and empathy for people and really just wanting to make them, win in life. Not only, what my biggest, thing is that fills my bucket. When somebody comes to me and say, hey, Ryan, because of you and your company, I get to buy my first house. Mm-hmm. We grew up in a trailer. We grew up in a 1-bedroom apartment, and they get to break the mold. They get to bring their kids up, and they get to provide something that they never had. That's what fills my cup. That's why I do what I do every single day, is because I want people to think bigger than what they were. And when you do that, it creates this ripple, like you said, and everybody starts doing that. And sorry for me getting emotional, is because this is how much I care about my people.
Amen, brother. Day
So,
one.
I
Day
love you,
one.
man. Thank
Love
you.
you. Ryan, thanks for being with us today. That's going to wrap this amazing episode of Can I Have a Word with You, where we unpacked Run the Play with Ryan Austin, my dear friend, brother in Christ. Heather, my sister in Christ, thank you so much for just creating this space and joining us with us, Ryan.
Well,
Until
thank you
next time, everybody.
Thank you very much for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Love y'all. Take
See
care.
you, Ryan.
See ya.